We continue now at the top of Daf Kuf Ches Amud Beis Meseches Baba Kamma. This is Baba Kamma Daf 108b. This daf is sponsored by David Grossman. If you want to sponsor an Amud or a daf, take a look at the description box below and see the description box below to see how you can support this channel. On the previous Amud, there was a Machlokas Amoraim. Let's say you have a Shomer Chinam, for example, and the Shomer Chinam absolves himself by taking an oath and saying that it was stolen from him, but then the Shomer Chinam goes Lifnim Mishuras Adin, and the Shomer Chinam decides to pay back the original owner anyhow. So in such a situation, if they do eventually find the Ganev, does that kefil payment, does the extra double payment go to the Shomer, or does it go to the original owner? Abai said it goes to the original owner, and Rava said that it goes to the Shomer. And the Gemara says it's just conflicting inferences. They're arguing about how to make an inference from the Mishnah. Abai makes an inference from the beginning of the Mishnah, and the Gemara now continues the inferences as follows. Hanishba, in a situation where the Shomer does take the oath, Afal Pisha Shilim, even though he ends up paying the original owner anyway, but if the Shomer took the oath, Lami Mishalim, so then who does the Ganev pay? Laval HaPikadon. We understand from the Reish of the Mishnah that he pays the original owner of the Pikadon. That's Abaya's view. Rava Daik Mesefa, but Rava says to make the inference from the end of the Mishnah. What did it say at the end of the Mishnah? It said at the end of the Mishnah, Nishba velo Ratz Lashalim, that if he took the oath but didn't pay, that implies that only if he did not pay, then the original owner gets it. Time of Ratz Lashalim, the reasoning is because he didn't want to pay. Hashilim, but if he would have paid, Afal Pisha Nishba, even though he took the oath is irrelevant. Lami Meshalim, who does the Ganev pay to? Lami Sha Pikadon Etzlo, he pays to the person watching the Pikadon, he pays the Shomer. And the Gemara says, Li Abaya Kasha Seifa. Now, according to Abaya, the end of the Mishnah is difficult because that inference goes in Rava's direction. And the Gemara says to that, Amar Lach Abaya, Abaya will respond to you, he will say to you, Hachi Katani, this is what the Mishnah means to say at the end, Nishba velo Ratzel Shalim Kodem HaShavua. If he swears and he didn't want to pay before the Shvua, Ela La'achar HaShavua, but rather it's only after the Shvua, so then Lami Meshalim, then who does he pay? Labal HaPikadon, then he pays the owner of the Pikadon. And what Abaya means to say is that the way to understand the Mishnah is that when it says Nishba velo Ratzel Shalim, it doesn't mean he didn't pay at all. It just means he paid after the Shvua, and even in a situation where he paid, but since he paid after the Shvua, so then we say who does the kefil payment go to? It goes to the Baal HaPikadon. And then the Gemara continues, Lo Rava Kasha Reisha. According to Rava, the Reisha is difficult. That seemed to infer like Abaya. And the Gemara says to that, Amar Lach Rava, Rava will say to you as follows, Hachi Katani, here's how you understand the beginning of the Mishnah. Shilem, if he pays, Velo Ratza Lamod B'Shvuas, when he doesn't want to stay with his Shvua, Ela Shilem, but rather he pays, then Lami Mishalim, then who does he pay? Lami Sha Pikadon Etzlo, he pays the person who was deposited by, he pays the Shomer. And what Rava means to say is that the way to understand the beginning of the Mishnah is not that he paid and didn't take a Shvua at all. It means to say that he didn't want to maintain his Shvua and not pay. Rather, he went Lifnim Mishuras Adin and paid even though he took a Shvua. That's how you understand the Reish of the Mishnah. And in that situation, the Shomer will be entitled to the money. And the Gemara continues, Tavu Bailim l'Shomer. Let's say the Bailim come to the Shomer and they make the claim against the Shomer. They say, give me back the item. Vinishba, and then the Shomer takes a Shvu and he actually absolves himself. He's now totally potter. And then V'hukar Ganev, then they find the Ganev. The Shomer took a Shvu that it was stolen, and they indeed find the Ganev. So Tavu Shomer V'hoda. Now the Shomer goes to the Ganev. Now really the Shomer is out of this case because the Shomer already absolved himself. But the Shomer goes over to the Ganev and makes the claim from the Ganev himself. V'hoda, and the Ganev actually admits. Now when the Ganev admits, generally he gets out of kefil, but here he's actually admitting to somebody who's no longer really a party to this situation. And then Tavu Bailam, then the actual owner come and make the claim from the Ganev, a kafir, and the Ganev actually denies it. Ve'heviu Edom, and then they bring Edom, and the Edom say that in fact this person is a Ganev. So the question is as follows: Mi niftar haganev b'hodas shomer. Does the Ganev, does he exempt himself from the kefil payment because he admitted to the shomer? Olo niftar haganev b'hodas shomer. Maybe we say no, the Ganev is not potter because he admitted to the shomer, because who cares that he admitted to the shomer? The shomer is no longer involved. And the Gemara says, Amar Rava, Rava says it depends. In be'emes nishba, if when the shomer took the original shvua, he was taking a truthful oath, he said something that was true, so then niftar haganev b'hodas shomer. So then the Ganev actually does exempt himself from kefil by admitting to the shomer. What that means to say is this is a shomer who is still trustworthy, and therefore the admission to that shomer counts. However, in b'sheker nishba, however, if the oath that the shomer took was a lie, so then the owner wants nothing to do with this shomer anymore. So then the shomer actually is considered outside of the case. So lo niftar haganev b'hodas shomer. So in that case, the Ganev will not exempt himself from the kefil payment by admitting to the shomer. And Rashi explains, in be'emes nishba, if he took a truthful oath, meaning hashomer shatoa nigneva ba'onis. Let's say the shomer said it was stolen ba'onis, and that was truthful. V'nim tzakain, it comes out that that's true. So nifter haganav b'hodas shomer. So then the ganav is patur by admitting to the shomer. Why? To kevan denamonhu, because since this shomer is a trustworthy individual, anon sahadi, so we can be witnesses. Do you have a mishtakha behema, that if the animal would have been found, nicha leilamari de tahabe biyadi, the owner would have no problem with the shomer having possession of that animal. Therefore, it really is upon the shomer to try to find the animal. The shomer still feels responsible to get this animal back for the original owner. And his claim is considered a legitimate claim because the owner really does want this shomer to act on his behalf. And therefore, the admission of the ganav is considered to be an admission. However, if this shomer took a false oath, meaning to say, shatoin mace, let's say he claimed it died, or nishba, he claims it broke a leg, or nishba was captured, or nigneva ba'ones, or it was stolen ba'ones by accident, uval matza she'eno kain, and then it turned out that what he claimed wasn't even true. To kaven the miglia milsa de shakron have, since it turned out that this shomer is a liar, anon sahadi, so then we can be witnesses, de lo nichale lamare, de lahave su shomer Allah, that the owner has no interest in this person being a shomer anymore, utviyaso ein a tvi, and any claim he's making to the ganav is not a claim. He can't really act, so to speak, as an agent of the original owner, and therefore the admission to him is not considered an admission. And the Gemara continues, boy, Rava asked the following question, Amad li shava b'sheker, let's say the shomer, he wanted to take a false oath to absolve himself, v'lo hinichu, but the original owner didn't let him take that shvur, the original owner said he's pater anyway, mahu, what would be the halacha in that situation, meaning if there would be an admission now to that shomer, in that case, would that be considered an admission or not? And the Gemara says, take where the Gemara leaves that as a question. Rav Kahana masni hachi, the Gemara says, Rav Kahana taught it like we just said above, however, Rav Tavyume masni hachi, Rav Tavyume had the following, was the question of Rava. Boy, Rava asked, Nishba l'sheker mahu. Going back to the case again where he takes an oath, the assumption is if he took a true oath, so in such a situation, we would say he's somebody that certainly the owner would still rely upon, and therefore we would say he's still part of the case if there's an admission to the shomer that would still be considered an admission. But then Rava asked, what if the oath would be false? What would be the halacha in that situation? And again, according to this version, the Gemara ends, take where the Gemara leaves that as a question. And the Gemara continues, Tavu bailim l'shomer, let's say the owners, they made the claim against the shomer, they wanted their item back, v'shilem, and the shomer decided to pay, even though the shomer probably could have gotten out of it by taking a shvua, v'hukar aganav, but then they actually found the ganav. And now the case is, Tavu bailim, now the owners, who really have already been paid off by the shomer, they go to the ganav and make a claim against the ganav, v'ho, then the ganav admits, and then Tavu shomer, then the shomer goes to the ganav and he makes the claim against the ganav, because he really needs to get the money from the ganav, because he already paid the original owner. The kafir, and then the ganav denies it to the shomer. V'hevi edim, and then edim are brought against the ganav. So the same question, but in reverse. Nifter ganav b'hodas bailim. Do we say that the ganav is now exempt from the kefil payment because he admitted to the original owner? Oh, lower. Maybe we don't say that because the original owner is really out of the picture. Mi amrinon. Do we say motzi amar le shomer lebailim? The shomer can say to the original owner, Atun kevan deshaklisu lechu dmei. You, since you took money from me, istaliksu lechu mehacha. So you have nothing to do with anything over here. You're removed from the case, and therefore the admission to you is not an admission, and the ganav needs to pay me the kefil. O Dilmar, maybe Matzi Amri Leiv, they can say to him, meaning the original owner can say to the shomer, Ki hechi de'at avadet lan milsa, just like you did for us a favor because you paid us off when you could have actually gotten out of it by taking a shvur that was stolen. Anon nami avdinan loch, so we also did something for you. Tarchinan basar ganva, we're the ones that are going after the ganav. We're trying to find it. Shakilna anon didan, therefore we should be entitled to take what is ours. Now that we found the ganav, we can collect from the ganav. Ushkol atidach, and you can take back the money that you gave to us, and therefore the admission to the original owner really would be considered an admission. And the Gemara says, take where the Gemara leaves that as a question. And the Gemara continues, Itmar, it was stated the following, Machlokas Amoroim, Nigneva Ba'onis. Let's say you have a situation where it was stolen, but it was stolen Ba'onis. It was stolen in a situation that's considered an accident. As Rashi explains, Nigneva Ba'onis means Ballista Mizuyin. You had armed robbers. By armed robbers, not only is a Shomer Chinam is always exempt in a situation where it was stolen from him, but even the Shomer Sachar Pater, even a Shomer Sachar is Pater by Lista Mizuyim, that's considered to be an Ones. That's a kind of Geneva that's considered an Ones. Now, V'yachar now they actually find the thief. So now it's possible you're going to have to go take him to court and get the money from this thief. The question over here in the Gemara is going to be, who exactly is responsible to take this thief to court? And so the Gemara now has a machlokas amoroim. Amar Abaya says, again, Itmar nignava ba'ones, it was stolen ba'ones v'hukar aganav. They find this ganav, they find this armed robber. So Amar Abaya says, Im shomer chinam hu, if the case is with a shomer chinam, so then ratza osa imodin, ratza nishba. If the shomer chinam wants, he could take the ganav to court, but if he also wants, he could just take an oath, he could be exempt and let the original owner deal with the ganav. Im shomer sachru, now if he's a shomer sachar, so then he doesn't have a choice. Osa imodin, he actually has to deal with him in court. He should pay off, the shomer sachar should pay off the original owner, and the shomer sachar should deal with the thief in court. Ve'eno nishba, he shouldn't take an oath in order to absolve himself from the case. Rashi explains, Ratza nishba v'habaylim yiparu min aganav. If he's a shomer chinam, if he wants, he can take an oath and let the bailim deal with collecting the money from the ganav. So imodin, or he can take him to court, mishalim the bailim. If he wants, he can pay the bailim. V'hu yiparu min aganav, and he, the shomer chinam, can get from the ganav. However, says Abai, it's different by a shomer sachar. V'im shomer sacharu, if he's a shomer sachar, he's already a paid watchman. Afagav de pater balistim mizuin. Even though it is true that a shomer sachar is pater by armed robbers, but hachabit over here, hol v'hukar aganav, since we know who the ganav is, so there v'lo yafsid klum, he's not going to lose anything. He can go to the ganav and get it back. So all of l'troach achares. So according to Abaya, it's actually his responsibility to pursue the ganav, to sue the ganav in court. Lafika hu yishalem l'bayim. Therefore, he should first pay the bayim v'yachzer v'yiparim in haganav, and then he should go and collect from the ganav. That is Abaya's view. Rava Amar Rava says echad zev echad zeh, in both situations, whether we're talking about a shomer chinam or a shomer sachar, osa imo, then he has to take the ganav to court. Ve'eno nishba. In this case, since we know who the ganav is, he can't take an oath to absolve himself. And Rashi says, Osa imo din yeshalim, he should pay the mitzvah olav l'chazer achar aveda. It's a mitzvah upon him to go after the item that is lost. He has to take care of the situation. And the Gemara continues, Lema pliga ad Rav Huna bar Avin. Let us say that this argues on Rav Huna bar Avin. Rashi says, Lema pliga de Rava, meaning what Rava says. Rava says both the Shomer Sachar and the Shomer Chinam, they have to take this ganav to court. That seems to argue ad Rav Huna bar Avin. That seems to argue on Rav Huna bar Avin. The Shalach Rav Huna bar Avin, because Rav Huna bar Avin sent the following message. Nignava ba'onis, he said as follows. If it's stolen ba'onis, like our case, b'hokar aganav, and they find out who the ganav is, they recognize the ganav. Im shomer chinam, who if he's a shomer chinam, ratza osa imodin, ratza nishba. If he wants, he could take him to court, or if he wants, he can swear and get out of it. V'im shomer sachar, and if he's a shomer sachar, osa imodin, he takes him to court. V'eno nishba, he's not able to swear. So this certainly seems to go against Rava. The Gemara says, Amar lach Rava, Rava will say to you, Hachav mayaskin, and here what is the case? Kegon shekada v'nishba. The case actually is that he went ahead and he swore first. Rashi says, Kegon shekada v'nishba kodem shehukar aganav. He took the shvua before they actually had caught the ganav. That's the situation in this particular case. But the Gemara says, what does that mean? V'harotza osa imodin, rotza nishba kamer. That's not what it says. The way it's phrased is, if he wants, he could take him to court, or if he wants, he can swear. It doesn't sound like he swore before they found the ganav. And the Gemara says, no, hachi kamer. This is what it really meant to say. Rotza shomer chinam, if the shomer chinam wants, omeid b'shvuah, so he can maintain the shvuah he already took. The case over here is, the way that Rav is interpreting what Rav Huna bar Avin said, the case is that the shomer chinam already took the shvuah, and if he wants, he can maintain that. However, rotza osa imodin, but if he wants, he can also take him to court. And the Gemara continues, Rabba Zuti boy lohachi. Rabba Zuti, he asked the question in the following manner. Nignava bonus. Let's say I have a case again where it was stolen bonus. The hechzer gana bebeis shomer. But then what happened was the ganav actually ended up returning it to the house of the shomer, and then umesa b'pshia. Then the animal died, but it was through the negligence of the shomer. So there we have the question. Mahu, what's the halacha? Mi amrinan, do we say kevan the nignava bonus? Since it was stolen bonus, so kal yalei shmirasa. So he's already absolved of his shmira. He's not part of this case at all anymore. He's not a shomer. He's not responsible for the negligence. O dilma, or maybe kevan the hadra l'shmirasa. Since it was returned to him, he now returns to his status as a shomer, and he's responsible for the negligence, and the Gemara says teku. The Gemara leaves that as a question. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Heichon Pikdoni. If somebody says, where is my pikadon that I deposited by you? Amar lo, he says to him, Avad, it was lost. Mashbiachani, so he says, I want you to take an oath that it was lost. V'amar amen, he says, amen, he takes the oath. V'aedim mi'idim oso sha'achlo, and then the witnesses testify that actually it was this person, the shomer, who actually consumed the pikadon. So the halach is Meshalim Karen, the halach is he has to pay the Karen, he has to pay the principal. Hoda Me'atzma, but let's say he admitted on his own that he took a false oath and that he was the one that consumed the article that he was watching. Meshalim Karen, V'chomesh V'yashim. So in that case, he has to pay the principal and a fifth, and he has to bring a carbon asham. And the Mishnah continues, Heichon Piktoni, if the person says, where's the deposit that I gave you, where's my deposit? Amar lo, he says, Nignav, he says, it was stolen. Mashbiachani, so he says, I want you to take an oath that it was stolen. V'yamar Amen, and he says, Amen, he takes the oath. In this case, he's claiming a Tainas Ganev. This is the classic case of Toin Tainas Ganev. V'aidim mi'idim oso shaganvo, and the witnesses testified that in fact, it was the Shomer who stole the item. So the halach is, by Toin Tainas Ganev, Mishalim Tashlumei Kefil, he has to pay the double payment of a Ganev. Hoda me'atzma, if he admitted on his own, Mishalim Karen Chomesh V'asham, again he pays the principal and a fifth, and he brings a carbon asham. And the Mishnah continues, Hagozel is aviv, if somebody steals from his father, v'nishbal over and then he takes an oath to his father, it's a false oath, and then the father dies. Now in this situation, that which he stole, part of it is supposed to go to, let's say, this person's brothers, but part of it is supposed to go to he himself. He himself is supposed to inherit his father. But the halach is, Hareza Meshalim, Karen v'chomesh, he pays the principal and a fifth. They take out the word v'yasham. He pays that levanav to his sons, that means to the father's sons, that would be to the thief's brothers. O le'echav, or to the brothers of the father. Let's say the father doesn't have sons that are going to inherit him, so then the father's brothers inherit him, so he pays that off. And the point over here is he has to return the entire thing that he stole, even though he really inherits his father, so a portion of what he stole is something that he's able to inherit. It doesn't matter. There's halacha v'heshav, he has to return what he stole. That means the entire thing. But the Mishnah continues, Vim Eino Rotza, but let's say he doesn't want to give up the portion that he really should be inheriting. O She'enlo, or let's say he doesn't have enough money, he doesn't have enough property to give that up. So then there is a way around it. Lava, what he can do is as follows. He can borrow. Ubalei chov boin v'nifroim, and then the balei chov, the creditors, they can go and collect from that property. Meaning to say, what he does is he borrows money, and now he has this money that he owes to the creditors, and the creditors want to come collect. They can actually collect from the portion that he would have inherited, meaning that which he stole, which he really now would have inherited because the father died. They can collect from that property, and essentially then he really is benefiting from that property because he's borrowing money, but he doesn't have to pay back from his own property. He pays back from that very property which he stole, because that really is his. He's entitled to it as somebody who should inherit it. And the Mishnah continues, Ha'omer Livno, if somebody says to his son, Konem iaton nehenem mishali, says a Konem, you're not allowed to derive any benefit from my property, meaning a father says to his son, you cannot benefit at all from my property. So the halach is, Immeis, if the father dies, Yereshenu, so he is able to inherit the father. That's not considered benefiting from the father's property, because now that he inherits it, it's his own property. And Rashi explains, Hareza Mishalim Karen v'chomesh Labanov, he pays the principal and the fifth to the sons shel aviv, meaning the sons of his father, that would be his own brothers, o le'echav shel aviv, or the brothers of his father, im ein lobanim, if the father doesn't have sons. V'yaf agav, now even though the point over here is, even though the naflo yerusha kameh, that really he should inherit from his father, so that which he stole, some of it needs to go to the other brothers who inherit the father, but some of it should go to him. Nevertheless, even though it's kamei deheich, even though he really inherited a portion, boy lemebad hashava, there's a halacha, he has to return the stolen item, ve'in ma'akev afilu keneged chalko, so he can't hold it back, even corresponding to the portion that he should inherit. He cannot do that. He has to give it all, the entire stolen property, to his brothers. Now, ein lo nechasim kol kach, if he doesn't have so much property, sheyachol levater al chalko, he's not able to give up his portion. O shein rotze lahafsid chalko, or even if he just doesn't want to lose his portion, there's a way around it. What he does is lova me'acherim, what he does is he borrows from other people. Now they become his creditors. Umeishiv le'echav, and then he returns the stolen property, all of it, even his portion, to his brothers, l'kayim mitzvahs hashava, in order to fulfill the mitzvah of returning. But then the balei chov can collect from that which he should have inherited. Ubalei hachov boin v'nifroin min hashava es chelko, they can collect from that which he returned, meaning his portion that he should have inherited. Let's say there were two brothers, he's the third brother. They can collect, the creditors can collect from that 1/3 of the inheritance that he should have inherited, meaning of the stolen property. And the rest, let's say he borrows more than that amount, the rest they should collect from him. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Tes Amud Aleph.